I'm in my mid-30s and travel constantly for work. I'm in and out of hotels at least once per week, so I find it hard to get into a schedule to train effectively week to week. I've tried staying consistent, but every time I make progress, I go away for a few days and fall off. How do you think I should actually build a routine or build a structure that works with this sort of lifestyle? I want to get leaner and build a bit of muscle, but I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels in the moment. Thanks. Okay, this will be a good one because I have like real world examples I can also pull in and show you as well, because I have a client now that's based in America and he travels for work at least once every 10 days. So he's normally gone for about 2 to 3 days for work and he's in a hotel. So he started around 93 kg, 204 pounds. The biggest problem he had when he came, he said that he just found it hard finding a routine that worked with trains at home. So that was another kind of hurdle. I was hoping that we could get him really hammering the gym when he's based like in his city, and then when he's traveling, just kind of get the steps up. But he was training at home. Thankfully, he has a bit of equipment. He has barbells and dumbbells. But in regards to most that are doing this sort of schedule, chances are that you're going to train in the gym. So I'm going to adapt the stuff that I mentioned that Chris did for those of you that go to a gym when you're home in your city. So let's get into it. So the first thing we had to address basically off the rip is how many days are you at home, like when you're actually at home, and how many days can you train of those days? Once we got that, we can think of a schedule. So for example, this person says they go to hotels at least once a week. So let's say that you are at home for like 5 days of the week. You can probably train 3 to 4 of them. So when he's not traveling, he has at least 3 workouts that's non-negotiable, it's getting done. 3-day workout, I'd probably say you can either do a full body routine and have 3 different variations, or depending on how the days work out, you could do an upper, lower, and then a full body day or an upper, lower. And if someone's trying to lose a lot of fat, I would say a conditioning day, which is more based around doing cardio, maybe moving your body more and getting them used to not being so stationary, because by definition or by just generics, bodybuilding routines are very stationary. The most dynamic normal bodybuilding move is probably deadlift. I'm not counting like the clean and jerks and stuff. So you need to get that done. Now, while you're traveling, the key thing that Chris had to do, my client, is that he would always now pick a hotel that has a gym. Doesn't need to be a massive gym. It just needs to have probably a few dumbbells. A lot of the times the gyms he's going to, they don't have like a lot of heavy dumbbells, so we have to like adapt the workout a bit to make it challenging. But he always picks a gym that has at least some dumbbells, not just the treadmill. Like that can work if your main goal is fat loss. We can just, on while you're away traveling, you can go just do like, I don't know, like a 20-minute jog or something like that, or a 30-minute jog. But if your main goal is you want to build muscle as quick as possible, it'd be good to get in another day or maybe 2 days, depending on, you know, your schedule. Get those days in the gym working. So for my client, what we do is on the day one that he arrives at the hotel, we have a shorter workout routine that he can follow. So regardless of what time he arrives in that hotel, he can get it done. It's normally like about maybe 4 things. So it'd be like start off like an incline treadmill, walk or jog. Then we'll go into like 2 or 3 weighted movements. Usually like just some more dynamic things, because chances are a lot of the times when he's traveling, it's either flights or driving long periods of time. So he's stationary. So the first workout we want is him just getting his blood pumping, him moving around, getting it done, and we may end it with some cardio. Then the second day, we basically have that one as like almost a proper normal routine. Almost mirrors what he's doing at home. But if they don't have heavy weights in that hotel, we will then basically make it more adaptive. So for example, rather than doing a goblet squat or dumbbell squats or something like that, we may mix it up and do dumbbell thrusters. Things like that just allow him to move more once again, but it's also more challenging than him just doing a normal shoulder press of something that's extremely light. You know what I mean? I don't want him to have to go to like 20, 30, 40 reps before he starts feeling something. So you got your 3-day workout routine that you can do when you're in your city regardless. And then you have potentially 1 or 2 more that you can do when you're moving. But let's go with 1. That means you got 4 workout days now per week that you'll be doing as a non-negotiable. You need to just make sure that you're picking a hotel that has a gym, because the way that you see progress is you got to start getting non-negotiables. Because the reason why you keep falling off is because I'm assuming you're training when you're at home. Then as soon as you go to, like you're traveling, you don't train then, and then by the time you get back, you feel kind of lethargic and like, oh, I feel like I'm off my routine now, because you've never managed to get in the habit. Because basically, as soon as you start doing like 2 or 3 days, you're off again, and when you come back, you just don't feel in the rhythm anymore. So we need to keep that rhythm going as long as possible. The key thing, once again, what the client does when he's traveling, especially when he's on flights and stuff, we make sure that we stock up his little hand luggage with some snacks and fruits that he'll actually eat, so he's not peckish. Because originally he has a real good sweet tooth. He would always, when traveling, to go to like the airport airport area and he'd buy Haribo and he'd buy like just various fizzy drinks and he'd kind of just have those on his way. Now what he does, he buys like a water or brings water and has like squash in it. Just bring like a lot of high fiber or high protein snacks, whether it's beef jerky, apples, bananas, fruits that normally can last quite a bit. And that in itself then eliminates potential overeating on calories when just traveling, like the snacking portion. So that's the travel now done. So we've got your home's done, the traveling to the hotel's done, and obviously the traveling back, it's the same procedure. And now we just got to address what you're eating when you're in the hotel. If this was only a hotel trip like once a month or something, or once every 3 weeks, I would say, yeah, just let your hair down a little bit, just don't be crazy. But if it's every single week and it's potentially more than like 2 days, you've got to be more like strictish on what you're eating. And also, if you're drinking fizzy drinks, ideally try and get 0-calorie ones. But even better would be just drinking water and squash as and when possible. These can really help. And when it comes to these foods, if you are someone that obviously you ideally we want to have you tracking calories, when you go into the hotel, it's going to be a lot harder. You can kind of just do like the hand roll, for example. You're going to have like a meat option, try have it as big as your hand, like a nice chicken fillet, something like that. These are very rudimentary tips and tricks you can use. They're not 100% accurate as obviously if you weighed the food and tracked it, but you're probably not going to be able to do that. But the good thing is, the more you track calories when you're at home and when you're eating similar foods, you'll start naturally learning portion sizes and you'll be able to probably look at something and go, oh, that's a normal sized chicken breast. That's probably around 21 grams of protein. That's cool. You'll probably start learning these things, which allows you to have more freedom because you're less worried because you know based on what you're tallying up by looking at your simple plate, you're like, oh, okay, then that steak, ooh, okay, it's probably about 500, 600 calories there. I'm not going with the fries, I'm having this. This mixed vegetables thing here is probably about 100 calories. And then the drink I'm having is water. And you start tallying up your meals that quick and you start knowing, okay, I'm fairly on track without having to actually pull out your phone and scan anything. Another thing as well that my client does is he has a cardio piece of equipment at home. So even if you're someone that trains in the gym, ideally fat loss is one of your key metrics you want to do, like one of your key goals. I always advise nearly all of my clients to get some sort of cardio equipment at home because it allows you, one, to not to spend as much time in the gym during your weight session, and because potentially we can have you doing the cardio at home when you wake up, which is a lot easier. For example, I have a treadmill in my apartment here. It just makes doing the cardio at times just so much easier. You don't have to rely on the weather if you're trying to get your steps up. If you just want to knock out the 20 minutes of cardio at home in the morning rather than doing your full weight session and then doing it at the end, these things can really help. So I would recommend, if possible, buying some cardio equipment for your house. So if there's days when you're meant to go to the gym, but you just, for whatever reason, your mind just won't take you there, you can at least say to yourself, you know what? I'm going to at least go on the bike for 20 minutes or go on the treadmill or the walking pad for 20, 30 minutes. You know what I mean? It may not be the full gym session, but it's better than nothing. It's much better than you saying, oh, I'm not going to go to the gym. And then you just sit on the sofa and watch TV and probably eat something. It's much better if you at least do the minimum. If you can't do the max, do at least the minimum. And my biggest advice now for you and anybody watching that has this sort of kind of busy, super movement lifestyle, you have to have a plan for the worst case scenario. For example, worst case scenario, you happen to have to go in the hotel for a whole week for work this time. So there's none of your 3 guaranteed workers at home. You have to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to make sure that I am still going to do my non-negotiable of 3 routines, even though I'm not going to be able to go to my normal gym in my own city. You now need to have a routine already in place that would accommodate the 3 or 4 days there that's adjusted for that. As I mentioned, my client, we have like a more very strength-based workout routine that he does when he's home. Whereas when he's moving, if the gym he's going to doesn't have heavy weights, we switch things up. So say he had to go to this hotel now and he's there for like a week, potentially a week plus. We would now have to adapt the routine from doing the strength-based one, but create a routine for his more dynamic moves and more conditioning workouts to map the whole week. Because I wouldn't want him to do the same exact one every single day. It will get boring. I want him to mix it up for enjoyment and also for the fact that I want it to be challenging. The fact that the weights are lighter than normal means we need to get him doing different things. If he's doing the same light weights every single day, he'll get bored of it, he won't enjoy it, and it won't become a challenge. There may be a scenario where, for example, you can't choose the hotel that you'll go in. Then you got to, for example, bring things like resistance bands with you. When I went traveling to Japan, originally I did plan to go use some of their gyms. It was really expensive for a day pass, so I said no. But I luckily brought resistance bands with me, and I did these little workouts in the hotel, and they were fairly challenging considering that it was better than nothing. You know what I mean? I bought 2 resistance bands so I could double them up and make it even harder, and I found out I could do a lot of routines with these bands that I brought with me. As I mentioned, that's not as good as weights. Resistance bands is better than you just doing nothing. So you got to plan for every eventuality. Bring a skipping rope with you as well. These are just things you have to contemplate. A better situation to come along, but if you plan for the absolute worst, you run to a winner. But as a whole, those are the steps that basically got my client from here to here, and we're still going. Like at this point now, he's actually at 179 pounds, so he's lost an extra 3 pounds since here. So he's gonna start looking really good. If you want to hear his words on it, on my website, he does have a testimonial talking about his experience, and listen to some of the things that Chris says in regards to the approach that he took and his struggle points, because he may relate to a lot more there. But in general, the key thing is making sure that you have non-negotiables. That's probably the most vital thing. You have to pick certain things that you are going to maintain regardless of what your week ends like. And once you've got that nailed down, that stops you basically falling out of routine and basically packing it all together. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're someone looking for help with coaching and getting in shape, be sure to click my links down below, have a peruse around the website, and let me know. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.